It's the biggest story of why I call it the biggest story, because from here on I'm just taking a look at the numbers on our digital streaming, whether it's on television. The interest is really peaked in the IPL. What's really also added as fuel to the fire is the fact that for the first time in IPL we have two broadcasters. Had it been just one broadcaster, we probably wouldn't have seen all these detailed visuals that are now emerging. Because there is competition between the two broadcasters, so all the visuals, the detailed visuals are now emerging, where we can see everything, the entire sequence of events as it happened in that game. It was a fiery encounter, and dare I say that this rivalry between Lucknow and RCB is growing into one of the biggest rivalries in the IPL. This has grabbed a lot of eyeballs. It's definitely helped, this entire story definitely helped IPL, at least in the short term, to garner a lot of interest. So numbers are peaking, as I said. What that does to IPL long term is another debate altogether, which we'll keep for another day. But the purpose of this particular video and the live stream is to tell you all the intricate details and the timeline of how things happened in that game. What was the genesis? How did it all start? What is the background? What is one saying? What is the other saying? And why it came down to what we witnessed, and eventually leading to a fine to two very prominent names in Gambhir and Virat Kohli. Okay, so that's the story. Do give us a like if you like what we are trying to tell you right now in detail, giving you the timeline, and also put in your comments as to what you feel about this entire debate. Are you also divided as most fans on social media? Let us know. Okay, let's start with this particular quote. I'm going to give you a timeline, but for you to understand that entire timeline and the entire episode, I'm going to start with this video that has been put out by Royal Challengers Bangalore, and this particular quote of Virat Kohli, he says it in that video. He says, if you can give it, you gotta take it, otherwise don't give it. Now this is self-explanatory. This is Virat Kohli trying to say that if you are going to be aggressive, if you are going to be mouthing off verbals, then you should also be okay to take it. Don't take offense when the other team gives it back to you. Now what is he referring to? It's clear now, because in this particular game RCB was batting first. There aren't any visuals in that game when RCB was batting. So clearly he's not talking about the other team giving it to them in this game. He's referring to the game that was played between the same two oppositions in this very IPL, but that game was played in the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. Okay, so that's what he's pointing out to right now. What had happened in that game? This visual had gone viral at the time. Gambhir in Bangalore, last ball thriller between the two teams, and Gambhir had done this to the crowd, to the loud crowd that was rightfully supporting their team. When they had won, he said, listen, we've silenced you. We've come to your home and we've silenced you. This is clearly a visual that was then circulated on social media, didn't go down too well with the RCB team, and I'm not surprised. It wouldn't win any team. So they had this in mind when they traveled and play a game against them. So what they had in mind is that we're going to give it back to them as good as we got in that game. So the genesis of it, the starting point of it, was this game, as pointed out by Virat Kohli also in that video. How does Virat then respond? We actually were preempting it. We all knew, if you had been following the IPL, you knew, and we were waiting for how Virat is going to react once the game is over. We didn't know that reaction will actually come much before the game is over. So this is Virat Kohli when he celebrated Krunal Pandya's wicket. He took that catch. He looked back at the crowd in Lucknow. He made the same gesture that Gambhir had done when he had come to their home. He made that same gesture. The only difference was Gautam actually told the crowd, we've silenced you, be quiet. Virat actually, the picture doesn't tell you the entire story. Virat actually put the finger saying, no, don't be quiet, keep cheering. He actually follows this with this sort of a gesture, which he tells, I'm not going to tell you to be quiet. You keep making the noise. Why did he say that? Why did he say that? We'll know that. He said that because this is another quote that he gives in that particular video that Royal Challengers Bangalore have made right after the game got over, and he said the fact that we got more support than the home crowd is unbelievable feeling. It tells you all about how much we are liked as a team. That I can confirm is 100% true. If you were watching the match, you could hear the Lucknow crowd cheering RCB, RCB. You could hear this the crowd, it was echoing in the stadium. So a lot of local fans were actually supporting RCB. That's not surprising. I saw a game this season in Mohali, Punjab Kings versus RCB, and even there the local crowd wasn't really backing the Punjab Kings. Yes, few were, but majority of the crowd was backing RCB and Virat Kohli, and I think a lot of it has to do with the star power that Virat Kohli commands. So he's rubbing it in, he's telling them that you came to our ground, and that crowd was supporting their home team in Bangalore, which was the RCB fans. You told them to be quiet. I've come to your ground. I've not told your crowd to be quiet. I've told them keep making noise because they are supporting our team. So he says that after the game. So this, I'm giving you a context. I'm helping you understand as to what really transpired behind the scenes and why is it that we saw the two teams come head to head at the end of the game. Now, that was one celebration that Virat did, but there are many that are pointing out that Virat's celebrations were aggressive and they continued throughout the game. For every dismissal, you could see him being very animated, very aggressive in his celebration. These are just some of the examples that you can see. He was having a lot of verbals with the opposition team, whether it was Amit Mishra, whether it was Naveen ul Haq. Earlier you'll find out whether it was Kyle Mayers. With most players, he was saying a lot of things to them, clearly hurt by that loss. I go back to it, hurt by that loss and the gestures that were made, and so it became a grudge game for them. It was a low scoring game. They wanted to win that game. So Virat was really pumped up and he was sledging the opposition. Now you can look at the sledging in different ways, right? One way of looking at that sledging is that he crossed the line. He may have, if the sledging was abusive in nature and if it was excessive in nature. It did seem to be excessive, but the other way of looking at it is like, this is gamesmanship. You will try your best. It's a low total that you're defending. It's a grudge game. You've come with a mind that you have to win this game. So you will resort to any sort of tactic. We've seen other teams do it, not just in cricket, in other sport. Maybe Virat in that sense resorted to that tactic of getting under the skin of the opposition team. The only way they could have won a low scoring game was to get them all out, not really defend in terms of run rate. So he did get under the skin. Look at some of the shots that were played. Look at the amount of runouts that they had. So he did get under the skin of the Lucknow team. That could also be his motive to win the game. He'll do anything that he can to win the game. But it's also fair to say that if you saw what was happening while the Lucknow team were batting, a lot of it was quite aggressive, a lot of it was excessive. Now this is where it's building up to what's going to happen at the end of the game. Now because the entire fight now is being portrayed as Gautam Gambhir versus Virat Kohli, on that occasion, this is when the game is done, the teams are walking off. Virat Kohli, Gautam Gambhir do greet each other, in the sense they do shake hands quite sportingly. Nothing is said between them. Gautam Gambhir is leading his team out as a mentor, and he shakes hands and he moves on. So he's in no mood to rake up anything that may have happened in the game or to rake up any of the old things. So Virat and him shake hands, they go on. So till now, Gautam Gambhir is not involved in any of the aji-baji that happened after the game. Neither is Virat Kohli. This is right after the game. So this is a very important visual too. What happens after that is Naveen ul Haq and Virat Kohli, while they are crossing each other, when the teams are shaking hands, there is a bit of a confrontation there. You can see that Naveen ul Haq is obviously, he started it, he pointed out to all the sledging that was coming his way while he was batting. He said that to Virat. Virat didn't take that very kindly. He said something back to Naveen ul Haq. They almost jerked each other's hands off, and got rid of it at that time. And that looked like now things are getting hot. And that did seem like there was tension. But it stemmed from the fact that Naveen ul Haq was just very recently, just a few minutes before that, was batting. Obviously very agitated with the send-off that he got, very agitated with when he was batting, all the things that were being said to him. He confronted Virat here, and this is just the start of what is about to come. So this is again the starting point of what happened after the match. This is an important visual. Then what happens after the handshakes are done, even Kyle Mayers, not happy with what is happening in the ground, goes up to Virat Kohli and also says about, them sledging the Lucknow batsmen, them getting involved in a lot of verbals. But this is a much calmer, behaving in a certain way. Actually, he actually pulls Kyle Mayers away, in a sense telling him, what's done, it's done on the ground, done and dusted, forget about it, let's move on. Gautam Gambhir does that. To be fair to him, till now no confrontation between Gautam Gambhir, Virat Kohli. He's trying to be the peacemaker, and even Kyle Mayers is inquisitive. He's not very happy. You can make out with his body language and the kind of questions that he's asking. He's not happy with how things transpired when they were batting and with the behavior of the RCB team. But Gautam Gambhir ensures that things don't come to a head at this situation. So he takes Mayers away. Now this is the most talked about visual, where Gautam Gambhir, Virat Kohli came face to face and had an animated discussion. This happens after he pulls Kyle Mayers away. They go their separate way. Of course, there is something said from the back, and Gautam Gambhir going the other way, then comes back and confronts Virat Kohli. This is where they are animated. You can actually see in these visuals, it's Gambhir pointing out to a few things and Virat kind of justifying himself that no, this may not have happened. Gambhir is saying no, this happened. So clearly a disagreement there. To be fair to the two of them, we've seen them in much more angrier situation earlier in the past. Compared to those visuals, if you remember, this seemed milder. This seemed more a discussion than those confrontations that we've seen between the two of them. But it carried on for some time. They had to be pulled away. There was Kedar Jadhav, who's just joined the team. He pulled them away. Amit Mishra, who's also a teammate of Virat Kohli from many years, he tried to pull. I mean, they know each other from their Delhi playing days. Tried to pull them away, and that's where the situation or the evening ended. What happened after that was, there was an inquiry by the match referee, and then punishments were handed out. But what's interesting here is, right after that, in the morning, when social media was all out in full force expressing their opinion, fans taking sides, mainstream media doing discussions, telling who's right, who's wrong. So this is in the morning. The next day, Virat Kohli put out an Instagram story where he said, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. To be fair to Virat, whatever he's written here is 100% true. It's true because people who are commenting, whether on the social media, whether in the mainstream media, or even people like you and I, or even me right now, everything that we are commentating right now, when it comes to who's right, who's wrong, it's an opinion. That's correct. So Virat is well within his right to write this, because we can only say, and what I pointed out in this video is what happened when. There is no way of me finding out in any of those discussions or any of those images as to who started it first, who said the first word, and when one thing was said, what did the other respond with. We don't know the exact conversation. That will only be between the players, but you can make out clearly the Lucknow team was the aggrieved party. They were not happy with the words that were used against them. But he's also right, people on the outside, when they're commenting, that's their opinion. And whatever they are seeing in the pictures, it's their perspective. He's 100% right about that. Okay, but you can't help it. Now those visuals are out in the open. You can see them on rewind. You can see them from various angles, and you are bound to form an opinion when you see those particular visuals. Also, worth pointing out, for Virat Kohli, for Gautam Gambhir, it's not the first time this has happened. Both are aggressive individuals, and such episodes have happened much before, not just amongst the two of them, but also them involved with various other people that have been part of various different teams. So two aggressive individuals, and they have been repeat offenders in that regard. So that's a fact. That's not an opinion. There is another fact that cannot be disputed. That is that both Gautam Gambhir and Virat Kohli, and I might add Naveedul Haq also, they were hurt by the match referee. So the fact is, you can take sides and opinion as to who's right or wrong, but the fact that cannot change is that they did breach the code of conduct. They did step over the line, which is why they were fined 100% of their match fee for a level 2 offense, and Naveedul Haq was fined 50% for a level 1 offence. Now this is after a hearing. They pleaded guilty to these offences, which means that their behaviour was out of line. That cannot be disputed. Yes, who said what, who was the first one to say it, who's right, who's wrong, that we can have your opinion, but this is a fact that they have been fined, and in that sense those are images that will not go down well, because this is a gentleman's game. I know competitive cricket is very, very different, but it does end up leaving an impression on the youngsters. Remember, this game is also about a lot of teenagers watching cricket, right? They will go on to become domestic level cricketers or international level cricketers, and if they keep seeing these things, their heroes keep doing these things, then they'll think it's okay to be like that. They will think that it's okay to play cricket like. On the other hand, what did get ugly was, this is Naveenul Huq's story. He also put a story out where he said, you get what you deserve. That's how it should be, and that's how it goes. I mean, it's a cryptic message that he puts out, but what's really worthy of pointing out right now is that Naveenul Huq, again, you may agree with him, disagree with him, but if you go to his Instagram profile, he's got so much of abuse, so much of hate, which I think is not right. Again, you can disagree with whoever, and it's not with Naveen, it could be any player. He's actually had to turn off his comments on Instagram because of the hate, abuse, and the wild things that people are calling him on social media. Again, those people also who are calling him these things, just to quote Virat Kohli, it's their opinion. They don't know whether he is wrong, right? But yet they are abusing him, which is what the ugly side of such incidents is, which is why big names like Virat Kohli, Gambhir should refrain from indulging in any sort of moments like this, because it has a lot of repercussions which are ugly, that can really impact the sport and even the mindset of certain fans right now. Do let us know what you think about this entire episode. Where do you think cricket can improve upon? As I said, you could side with any party. The fact of the matter is, it does show an ugly side to a gentleman's game, which is not ideal at the moment. Do give us a like if you liked the entire timeline. We tried our best to put to pieces the entire puzzle so that you get a clearer picture as best as we could. So if you liked it, do give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for more such content. Still plenty of games to go in the IPL, and a lot more live shows coming your way.